Hello students, welcome back to the fourth video of this playlist. So in this video we will be solving question number 4 from S1, that is Statistics 1 2024 January paper. So let's see what's the question number 4 from this paper is about. So if I give a brief review of the background of chapter number 4, question number 4 is that the concepts behind this question, it's basically combinedly from chapter 3, that is representation of data. Like, to be more specific, from this chapter you should have idea about like how to find out outliers, and from chapter number 5 also the concepts from chapter number 5, that is correlation and regression, will be also required in this question, that is question number 4. So let's get started with question number 4. Okay, here the question says a French test and a Spanish test were set by 11 students. Okay, 11 students are sitting for Spanish and a French test. The table below shows their marks. You can see their marks. Student A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Their French marks is represented by F. Okay, and Spanish mark is given by S. Okay, so Greg says if these points were plotted on a scatter diagram, then the point 3019 means what? 30 for F and 90 for X. Okay, 90 for X. Okay, so not X, it's basically S, Spanish. 30 for French and 90 for Spanish. Okay, great. Okay, so then the point 3090 would be an outlier because 90 would be an outlier because 90 is an outlier for the Spanish marks. Okay, so 90 for Spanish marks would be an outlier. Okay, so now they says an outlier is defined as a value that is greater than the upper quartile Q3 plus 1.5 times Q3 minus Q1, or smaller than the lower quartile, that is Q1 minus 1.5 times Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so an outlier, the upper limit for the outlier is 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is above what? The upper quartile, and the lower limit is less than 1.5 times the IQ word, the interquartile range, less than below what? Below the lower quartile. Okay, now part A asks to show that 90 is an outlier for the Spanish marks. We need to show that 90 is an outlier for the Spanish marks. Okay, so let's find out the quartile for upper quart, like the Spanish marks Q3 Q1. Okay, so at first the formula for upper limit, it's given, lower limit is given. We need to find out Q3 and Q1. So let's find out the Q1. Okay, part A. So to find out the limits of the what? Limit for the outlier, we need Q1 at first. So Q1 is what? Q1 is basically which term? N over 4 term, right? So N is what? Total number of data is 11. So 11 over 4, that is what? 11 over 4 can be written as 11 over 4 is basically 2.75. And since N is what? Odd, so you will get a like decimal value. So whenever you will be getting a decimal value, it is clearly written in chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2 of your statistics textbook, that when you get a decimal value for the nth term, you will need to always round up. So that is the third term. Okay, so what would be the third term? So let's figure it out. The third term, okay, keep in mind the values are not arranged here. Okay, so consider the smallest value, ascending order. So smallest value comes with 16. This is the first term. Then after 16 it would be 24. This is the second term, and the third term is basically 28. So Q1 is 28. So we got the Q1. It's what? 28. Fine. Now the Q3. We need to find out the Q3. So what would be the Q3? Q3 is what? The data that lies on 75th or 75% of the data, of the whole data, right? So 75% of the whole data is what? 3n/4. So 3 times 11/4. 75% is 75/100. So this is 3/4. So 3 times 11/4. So this is what? 3 times 11, this is 33/4, which is 8.25. It is also decimal, so we need to round up. So if you round up, you will get what? Ninth term. Okay, so ninth term would be what? Ninth term would be, again same as that, in ascending order. Let's consider ninth term. This is third. 28. After 28, this is 32, right? 32, and then what? 36, 38, and then what? 44, and then 48, 48. So this is the ninth term. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this is the ninth term. So ninth term is the upper quartile, which is what? 48. This is the Q3. So since 90, we need to look for 90. So consider the upper range. Okay, upper limit for an outlier. Upper limit is what? Q3 plus Q3 was what? 48, right? 48 plus 1.5 times the IQ, or interquartile range, which is 48, minus the lower limit. The lower quartile was 28. Okay, 28. It would be 28. So 1.5 times 48 minus 28 is what? 48 minus 28 is 20, times 1.5, this is 30, plus 48, the upper limit is 78. So 78 is the upper limit for an outlier to be considered. So we can easily figure out that 90. So Spanish, S for Spanish, 90 is what? Greater than 78, hence an outlier, right? Hence it's an what? Outlier. And that's what the question has asked to show. That's it, done. Okay, next is part B. Let's see what they have asked in part B. Look, for part B, they said ignoring the point 3090. We should ignore 3090. Greg calculated the following summary statistics. Okay, he got the sum of F is given there, which is 422. The sum of S, the marks obtained in Spanish exam, Spanish test, it's also given. The total marks by 10 students, right? 382. The summary statistic S of FF, it is given 1667.6, and S of FX is given as 1735.6. Okay, now the question here says to use these summary statistics to show that equation of the least squares regression line of S on F. S on F for the remaining 10 students is this one, S equals to negative 5.72 plus 1.04 F. Okay, where the values of the intercept and gradient are given to 3 significant figures. That means we need to find out the equation for regression line. We need to find out the equation for regression line. So remember the equation for regression line, like what's the form for that? Yes, this is basically y equals to what? a plus bx, right? This is in the form of y equals to a plus bx, right? So in this case, in place of y we have s, right, and in place of x we have f. And you should know that it's given in the formula booklet. The gradient, basically the coefficient of x, is basically s of xy over s of xx. So in that case, the gradient like for this equation in the form s equals to a plus bf, the gradient b would be what? s of sf fs over s of what? ss. No, sorry, it is s of ff, right? So we need ff, we have ff, we have fs there, no problem. So we can find out the gradient directly. So the equation for the regression line is what? It's in the form what? Part b, it is s equals to a regression line of s on f. Okay, so s equals to a plus b f. You can get it from the formula booklet. It is given in the formula booklet, this formula for regression line equation. So we need the value for b. So b would be what? S of fs over s of ff. Okay, so s of fs is what? The value for s of fs we already know here. S of fs is basically 1735.6. 1735.6 over s of ff. What's the value for s of ff here? S of ff is basically 1667.6. 1667.6. So what's that value? Use your calculator. 1735.6 over 1667.6. the value is what? 1.04 0777165. I took the exact value, but the final answer we have to round it to 3 significant figures as per the question. Okay, so we will write b as what? 1.04 up to 3 what? Significant figures. Okay, next is, what's next? b is 1.04. yeah, that's what they have got, 1.04. we need the value for the y-intercept, which is basically in place of y it is s, right? So this formula is what? S bar equals to a plus b bar, sorry, b times f bar, right? So do we know the value for f bar and s bar? b is known, b just we got. Do we know the value for s bar and f bar? S bar and f bar, look at the statistics here. S bar and f bar can be found, right? So ignoring the point 3090, right? The sum of f is given, sum of s is given. You should keep in mind the total number of data is now 10, not 11. You should be aware of that. So at first we need to find out what? S bar and then f bar. Okay, let's find s bar. So s bar, it's what? Sum of s, this is 382 over 10. So that would be what? 38.2. 382 over 10, this is 38.2. and what? F bar, it is equals to what? It would be 422 over 10, which is 42 point what? 2. 42.2. So 42.2. okay, so we got the value for s bar, we got the value for f bar, so we can easily find out the value for a. So what? A equals to what? S bar minus b times f bar. So this is basically what? 38.2 minus 1.04. it keeps going. Do the calculation with the exact value, times f bar. F bar is 42.2. Fine. So let's find out the value. I have the value for B. It's saved in my calculator, which is 1.0407 something times 42.2. So 38.2 minus the answer. So you'll get negative 5.72 5.7207 963596354. Okay, so we got the value for A, which is up to 3 significant figures, negative 5.72, which is up to 3 significant figures. So the equation we got, which is what? S equals to negative 5.72 plus, what's the value for B? It was 1.04 F. That's the equation. Done. Okay, next is part C. In part C, they said to give an interpretation of the gradient of the regression line. We need to give an interpretation of the gradient of the regression line. Okay, so the regression line equation is for S on F, right? It's for S on F. Okay, so that means if you consider the equation in this form, the gradient is basically what? The gradient is 1.04. What does it mean? Which one is the independent variable here? The independent variable is F, right? So that means for 1 mark increase in the French test, okay, we will consider with respect to the independent variable how the dependent variable will change, because the value for the dependent variable, which is S, it depends on the what? F, because F is independent. Okay, so for 1 mark increase in the French test, okay, in the French test, since it's okay, in the French test, the mark obtained in what? Obtained in Spanish test will increase by how much? 1.04. This is what the gradient means, right? The rate of change will increase by 1.04 marks. Okay, this is what the interpretation for the gradient of this regression line. Done. Next is part D. For part D, the question says 2 further students set the French test, but missed the Spanish test. Okay, 2 students set for the French test but missed the what? The Spanish test. Okay, for part D, they are asking, using the equation given in part B, we need to estimate a Spanish mark for the student who scored 55 in their French test. Okay, like basically this is if F equals to 55, then what would be the value for S? We need to find out that. Again, in part 2, they said Spanish mark for the student who scored 18 in their French test. That means if F is 55, we need to find out the value for S in part 1, and if F equals to 18, then what would be the value for S? We need to find out in part 2. So this is pretty much simple, straightforward, right? Just finding the value. So for part D1, they asked if F equals to how much? 55. Then what would be the value for S? S would be what? S would be what was the regression line equation? It was negative 5.72 plus 1.04 times what? 55, right? So what would be the value? Use your calculator to get the value. Plus 1.04 negative 5.72 plus 1.04 times 55, it's basically 51.5 marks. Okay, 51.5 marks. Yeah, 51.5. Okay, so for part 1 it is what? 51 point how much? 5 marks. Okay, that's it. And for part 2 they asked for if f equals to 18, right? If f equals to 18, then s would be negative 5.72. it is plus, right? Plus, yeah, plus 1.04 times 18. So that would be what? Negative 5.72 plus 1.04 times 18, which gives you only 13 marks. So for part 2 the answer is what? 13 marks. Okay, 13 marks will be obtained in the Spanish test. Like if they would sit for the exam, then we estimated that they would get 13, like 51.5 marks and 13 marks respectively. Okay, next, the last part of this question, that is question number 4, part E. In part E, what they have asked, state giving a reason which of the two estimates found in part D would be the more reliable estimate. Which one would be the more reliable? Okay, so from chapter number 5, regression line equation, definitely you will have this idea that for an estimation to be valid, to be reliable, you need to what are the cases for the estimation to be reliable using the regression line equation? It should be interpolation, right? It should be interpolation. What does interpolation mean? That means the estimated value, the value that you are estimating, it should be within the range of the data. Okay, now which of these two, 55 and 18, 55 for French test and 18 for French test, so which of these two lies within the range of the French test? Look, the French tests, consider the maximum value. The maximum value for French test is obtained as 68. It's what? 68. And the minimum value is what? 24. Right? So what we can say? 68, it lies what? 68 is the highest range, the upper limit, the upper range. So that means 68 is even greater than 55. So estimating 55, estimating the value for s for f equals to 55, it will be an interpolation, that is estimating something within the range. Okay, but estimating for s equals to 18, it is less than the lower range of f, therefore it will be an extrapolation, that is estimating something outside the range of the data. Okay, so for part E, what we can say? Which one would be they said which one would be reliable, right? So reliable would be what? Would be more reliable would be 1. Okay, part E, it's what? 1 would be more reliable since 55, right? 55 lies within the what? Within the range of s. Isn't it s? No, it's f. We are using the value of f. Okay, f is the independent variable, so f. Hence what? Interpolation. Okay, interpolation. That's it. That's the reason why the part 1 estimation in part 1 of D is more reliable since it is interpolation. And that's the end of part E of question number 4, and also that's all about question number 4 from S1 January 2024 paper.